Hi everyone. This is going to be a camless stream because obviously, as you can hear, I'm in my bathtub right now, and I'm gonna be soaking in there for a while. And don't worry, I am dressed, but I don't really want YouTube to see me in my bathing suit because I think that'd be weird. But I just needed to be in here. Um, Being at my desk right now is not a possibility for me. So that is why I'm here. So I just wanted to hang out and talk for a um, while my roommate isn't home. And so maybe we'll have some things to talk about. Let me just. I wanted to talk about something the other day, and I think I might make my live about that. About my experience with age gap relationship. Okay, I think this is the right moment for that actually. So I think that's what the stream is gonna be, and I know that the thumbnail doesn't really work with that. Okay, let's start. I'm just gonna give me a second. I'm gonna put more cold water in because right now I'm like dying of heat. For some reason, I cannot chat in here since I'm on mobile, which is weird. Usually, I would have that. I can post comments, but I cannot go into the chat for some reason. I don't even know if I'll see people talking. But I don't have like the chat bar. I'm on StreamYard because I wanted to hide my camera. YouTube doesn't have that option on mobile, and it doesn't have it on computer. But on computer, I can like hide my webcam by putting something over it. I cannot do that here. So yeah, I'm in my bathtub, but I'm in my bathing suit. Hi, Diane. How are you doing? I wanted to talk a little bit about a subject today because the other day I watched a video about this and I talked about it in my previous stream. I think I was crocheting something and I was talking about how I've been in an age gap relationship years ago and how seeing that video kind of hit me in a sort of weird way because I do tend to have some bias about that. Obviously, since I've had an experience with it. Right now, I'm not crocheting in my bathtub, just saying. I'm just having a swim. But yeah, I just felt like talking, and I think this is going to be an important video, and that's gonna stay on my channel. But the video I saw basically explained the whole deal with a relationship in which both or more parties have significant age gap that will create not necessarily problems, but sort of um, how can I say, not a difference, but the other word that I cannot say right now. But where the two people are kind of in a different place in life, and I know that sometimes with age, you're not necessarily in very different spaces, places, or whatever, even mentally. But it is a thing that will happen just because when you have lived longer, obviously you go through more things, and that means you have the potential to learn more about life and stuff. And so that means you can have a big advantage on the person you're dating if they're quite younger. You haven't been able to stop for a while. Well, thank you for stopping by. Oh, you got your kitty. Oh, that's amazing. I'm glad. I'm glad you got it. um, yeah, it was a cute kitty, and that yarn is was the worst to work with ever for amigurumi. It's great for wearables, but I did not enjoy making something with it that necessitates pulling really hard and things like that. Because it kept breaking because this is recycled silk, so it was kind of fiddly to work with, but I really loved the result. It's so cute. But I'm glad you liked it. But yeah, as I was saying, with age gap relationships, you have the potential. And let me know if you've ever been in one and what your experience has been like. But you have the potential to kind of lose yourself a little bit, being with someone who's in such a different spot, and you can kind of lose contact, not contact, but how can I say that? Connection with the person. And it doesn't mean that you're completely disconnected, but there are obviously some things you're not really gonna see eye to eye about. You've been in a few. Well, if you don't mind telling us more about that, I'd appreciate that. I've been in one personally. We had 5 to 6 years difference, but I was quite young, so it was a big age gap because I was still in my late teens. I was 19 when I started dating him, and he was in his mid to late 20s. So for him, he had a job and everything, and he knew where he wanted to be in life and all that stuff. And I was a young person still in college. He was still in college as well, but he was studying to get a degree in the field he was already working on, and he had a stable job and all that stuff. And obviously, I wasn't diagnosed back then or anything. I didn't even know that I was autistic. You were one with 7 years older. The other two were 11 years older. Well, um, that's great to hear. I wonder though, has your experience always been good? Have you experienced some struggles, especially like with connecting with your partner? Because that's the main thing I was talking about. But yeah, that guy was quite more goal oriented that I was, and that I'm even now at 30. And now that I think about it, I think a lot of it for him was is kind of latent ableism, and kind of he was kind of just expecting me to be a healthy and able human, and kind of pushing those expectations on me, which I was even just too young to fill because I was a person struggling with full time college, and he tried to push me to get a full time job because he wanted to take me out, but he didn't want to pay. But I wasn't interesting in I wasn't interested in going to fancy restaurants and going out every night to special places, to the movies all the time. And he always just wanted to do things that were expensive, and that was not a possibility for me because I had an allowance which was from my own money, by the way. It's a long story. I might no real connection struggles. You were older in those relationships. Oh, I get it. So you were the older one. But so you've not had like um things that kept you from like I don't know, maybe just little things you might not see eye to eye about? Or do you have also some positive about the age gaps that you'd like to share? But yeah, as I was saying that I was talking about the fact that he always wanted to go out, but even at my age, that's not a priority for me, and I'm just not that kind of person. I'm very content with staying home, really. So there was kind of this thing where he didn't want to pay to go out with me, but he wanted me to be there, and so he kept pressuring me and kind of coaxing me into doing things that I was not comfortable or able to do. He absolutely wanted me to work and stuff, and in college I couldn't have done that because I was already burning out from just going to school alone. So with a job on top of that, that wouldn't have been possible for me. And as I realized much later on, I'm autistic, but my autism struggles are such that for me to hold a full-time job while also studying, I would have not had a second to myself. I would have been always exhausted and always mentally checked out, and I was already kind of like that, you know. But for me, it was a struggle where I've been in and out of college, and until I finally got my diploma, it's not a degree where I live. You don't get like your job or anything. It's called CJEP here, and it's 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and it's free university. So you do have to do that, and then you go to university, and then you work on the degree you're gonna get, like your future um job or you know. But yeah, that's how it is here. So for me, it was kind of just a big moment in my life where I wasn't at a specific place where it would lead me anywhere, nor did I know um where I was gonna be. You know, it was just a big difficult time in my life, and that guy kind of tried to blame it on me being a kid and him not wanting to parent me, and that I was making him parent me because I was too anxious to go out and do stuff alone. But all of that stuff is kind of tied to being autistic for me. I struggle a lot with like going to governmental institutions, having paperwork filled out, going to the doctors and things like that. I've never been able to do that on my own. So he felt more like I was forcing him and pressuring him into those things, and he didn't want to do that because really he was not going for a partner. He wanted the good times, but he was not into the relationship aspects where you're kind of close to the person and you live and sort out your stuff together. That's not what he was trying to get from a relationship. He was really more here for the good stuff, and a lot of this he put on me, and so that was just kind of stressing me out even more. And it became obvious as time went on that really I was just kind of a distraction, kind of entertainment to him. I wasn't really a partner. He definitely saw me more as just entertainment. And towards the end, he was coming to see me basically just to get off. Really, that's what he was doing. He would come in late at night. We would eat dinner, then we would go to bed, and then the next morning he would bug me until I put out. And then after that, he would just leave for work, not even a proper goodbye, nothing. Like we were so disconnected there towards the end. But yeah, that was an age gap that was really becoming toxic. But it was not just um the age gap thing that was bad with us. It was also the whole relationship. Like he saw me more as a convenience than anything else. He even had a nickname for me, which was basically pocket for the thing between his leg, you know. So he was treating me like that, but he also had kind of that nickname that he would call me, that, and my friends were just like, that's not okay. And he was like, no, no, it's a joke, it's a joke, you know, that kind of stuff. But so I became also increasingly concerned with age gap relationships, also because I've seen some in my life. My parents, well, actually, my dad and my stepmom, when my dad was with my mom, um, he had like a 8 year gap, which is not significant, and they were a little bit older. So for them, it was not like they were both working age and getting at the age of getting a family and things like that. It's just like um, they were settled and everything, so it was not a big deal. But when my dad met my stepmom after he split with my mom, she was in her early 20s. She was 24 when they met, and they have an 18 years difference. My dad was in his, I think, in his 40s. I'm so bad at math, but yeah, he was in his 40s when they met, and she was early 20s. And my dad is, I've talked about this before, but my dad was is still not the greatest human. I'll just say that he is not good to his partners. He basically treats them like garbage. So that is the model I had growing up, and that is kind of what I've always seen, and I didn't know better for a big portion of my life. So I kind of just acted that out in my own relationships. So I tend to be more concerned with the problems that can arise, and kind of the predatory aspect that can happen in some instances. And one of the things that was mentioned in that video I watched is kind of the fact that often those older partners can tend to seek healing or seek kind of fixing the other younger partner. I'm gonna be your role model, and I'm gonna show you life, and you're gonna be my responsibility. And you're basically, hi Don, I've not seen you in a while. I'm happy to see you here. But yeah, they tend to take on that role of I'm gonna help the wounded child, you know. And so that's kind of a thing I try to look out for, but it tends to really irk me and scare me whenever I see younger folks um, jumping headfirst into an age gap relationship without really going into what that means with the person. And also, then sometimes the person will just be very dismissive, which was another red flag that was mentioned in that video I watched. I might link it eventually, but I'm not quite sure I'm comfortable sharing the channel it was from, because it is a specialized channel for a specific topic that might be a little bit too heavy for some people. Oh, hi, Baby Bat King, welcome here. But yeah, basically, what was I saying? Yeah, okay, the red flags, which is being really dismissive when concerns are brought, and I tend to see that a lot. I did a post on Facebook asking people, actually, their thoughts on the subject, what they thought of age gap relationships and how they've experienced them themselves, and kind of how they've been through that, you know. And most of the people were like, there's no problem. It's perfectly fine. Just kind of dismissing the whole premise of having problems in a relationship, really. Kind of just going, it's all in your head. Don't let them win, kind of. But yes, there can be problems, and I think it's really important to be mindful just of the fact that if you're with a partner of a different age, there might be this thing where the generational disconnect can be present a little bit, especially if it's a bigger age gap, like 20 or 30 years or something like that. For smaller gaps, especially when you become older, I think it's less of a problem because, for example, if you're 50, you're dating a 70-year-old person. Obviously, at 50, you have done a lot of stuff in your life, so you're kind of experienced regardless. And at some point, what I've heard, I'm still young, but what I've heard people saying was that you stop to look forward and you start to look back. And I think that when both people are older and both looking back, I think it kind of removes the problem of not looking in the same direction, if you know what I mean. But of course, there can still be some differences in the way they think and whatnot, just from being from a different generation. But for example, if as a millennial I was to date a Gen X person, we would probably clash on a lot of things because what a lot of Gen Xers tend to like kind of criticize about my generation is that we tend to be very vocal about a lot of stuff and we never let anything slide. And so that's one of the things that can kind of create problems. So that's just one of the examples. And one of the things we kind of criticize them about, like it's about the same thing, but inversely, we kind of often feel like they're trying to just sweep things under the rug. So that could be a problem that arises in a relationship. And then I just think the partners have to be careful not to dismiss that or gaslight the other one, if that makes sense. Let me know if what I'm talking about makes any sense, by the way, because I don't know. It's just an ongoing reflection that I've had for a long time because I'm very interested in interpersonal relationships, especially romantic relationships and those that have the potential to create problems, especially since as a disabled person, for me, it's something I have to look into quite a bit. I have to be careful about that, about whoever I meet, because just the fact of being disabled itself kind of sets me up for abuse. Because if someone is an abusive partner, one of the things they will look out for is going to be vulnerability. Are they going to be able to manipulate me? Are they going to be able to have power over me? Am I able to escape them? Things like that. And so it kind of creates the potential for me to be stuck in a very bad place. So it's why I'm kind of interested in that human dynamic and kind of how to get um, over the kind of problems that can arise, if that makes sense. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. I'm curious to see to know what people think. In my own case, in my own experience, it was only a 5 to 6 year gap, and like I said, it was significant just because I was quite young. I was still 19 when we met and started dating. But the guy would bring me to the movies um, with his friends. And obviously, I'm autistic, so I'm not really the best at uh, social interactions and things like that. And being in a large group, like we would go to the restaurant and then we would go to the movies right after. And so his friends were just all around, and I didn't know how to talk and interact with everyone. So I was kind of just in my own little space, like by myself, to the side. I wasn't really talking to anyone, but I was just kind of in my head, waiting for the movie to start, waiting for my plate to come or whatever, depending on what the situation was. But yeah, and because of that, like I was depicted as the antisocial one who doesn't want to mesh with people, and kind of the bad person who was just not fun to be around and always unhappy and things like that. But just because I wasn't really a very social person, and I was clearly uncomfortable because this is just a group of people who hate me because my boyfriend keeps saying nasty things about how I'm uh, ruining his life, and how I'm not working and how I'm not this and that. So I was basically just never enough for him, and he made that clear every chance he got. But see, that's what I mean. I was kind of stuck in a bad place in that relationship, and I was kind of too young to really see the abuse I was put through. For me, it was just kind of, wow, you're dating this older man. That guy is with you. How lucky are you? Don't let him go. And even one of my friends really pushed me on that, because she was like, this is your only chance to ever date someone worthy. This is a real man. All your other dates were not good. Just because he's older, but that doesn't mean he's any good for me. And even when we broke up, he tried to date one of my friends who was also in a vulnerable spot, and she was in a tough mental health space. She just had a kid, and she was in a bad relationship before, and they had just broken up. And so she was in a bad spot as well. And so when he told me that he was interested in her, I immediately became very defensive. I was just like, no, you dated me, but now, no, I'm not letting you date her. You're not coming within 2 feet of her. I'm not letting you date her. I'm not even gonna invite her over, nothing. Like, you don't get to see her. Don't ever talk to her. Don't you dare. Like, I clearly just forbade him from talking to her, just because I knew what he was gonna do. Just basically work on ruining her self-esteem, which was already pretty low considering. And it also kind of showed me his kind of predatory mindset, where he had to find a partner that was basically at his mercy, because he was always kind of interested in that kind of people. First it was me, and he was always like trying to make me feel bad about my weight, and back then I was like 135 pounds, something like that. I was not over 140 yet. And he was kind of always, you're so fat, you need to lose weight, or I'm gonna leave you. And you were so pretty before, now you look like trash, blah, blah, blah. Always kind of that stuff. I think you see where I'm going. But yeah, I didn't want him to date her because she just had a child. She just broke up with her partner. She was in a very tough place mental health wise. We were trying to pick her back up, but yeah, that's when I realized that predatory mindset is really a thing for a lot of people, and for some reason they just cannot have any type of self-awareness because of that. And so that's one of the things that kind of scare me with age gap relationships. But I'm curious to know what you think about that. Let me know what your impressions are and your own thoughts on the subject. I'd love to know that. By the way, thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate your presence here. I can't even chat. It's not letting me because I'm on mobile. I can see your chat, but I don't see I don't have a chat bar, so I can't even work with Nightbot. Well, welcome in, Jason. Your parents are 5 years apart. Yeah, 5 years is not such a big gap, I feel like, but it depends what age you are, of course. If you're in your early 20s, 5 years is really gonna matter because that's when you start picking up um a lot of life experience, and that's when you start to like get settled, get your job, get this, that, kind of really realizing what your life goals are. And so there's a lot of potential for harm, but also I feel like when you're over your 30s, a 5 year gap doesn't really create problems anymore because at that point your progression as a human being kind of starts to slow down, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's making sense, but right now I'm 30. If I was to date a 35-year-old person, we would kind of be at the same spot, maybe, you know? I'm working on my small business, and probably they have a job or something or goals on their own. And personally, I'm not a person who wants a family, but maybe that person does, or maybe that person doesn't. But that choice is already kind of made in our minds, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's what I feel like. It depends what age you are. But I think that when it starts to be age gaps like 10, 20, or plus years old, that can become really problematic. So let me know. Let me know what are your thoughts about that. Like I said, my stepmom and my dad are 18 years apart, and he met her when she was in her 20s. He was in his 40s, and he was kind of just impressing her and kind of guiding her towards the life he wanted. But yeah, it was kind of in a way, she's still kind of under his spell, by the way. She swears by him, which is not a good thing, if you know my father. No one here knows my father, but I'm just saying that um, basically he manipulated her plenty. Um, but now she's older, and she kind of yeah. The older we are, the less it matters. But yeah, now she's in her late 40s. He's in his late 60s now. Yeah, but now it matters a little less. He's retired and she's still working, but because she's not at an age to retire at all. Hi, welcome. But yeah, she's not at an age to retire. They just bought a condo in Quebec City, and so they're gonna live there eventually. Right now, my stepbrother lives there for college, so he's kind of keeping the place, you know. And yeah, but my father has always been a very manipulative man, and that's kind of the thing with their relationship. You know, she's the younger woman, and he's kind of always made her feel that he's necessary to her well-being. Kind of like, um, where would you be without me? You know, that type of stuff. And just like every chance he gets, he makes her feel like the he always kind of goes, "Oh, you're gonna leave me with another man because I cannot trust you," things like that. That's kind of type of person my dad is. But aside from that, I really think that when you're in an age gap relationship, you have to be careful to be there for the right reasons because that can kind of become about self-esteem. It was 72 years old. You got married to a nurse that was 40 years old. They got divorced 3 years later. I don't know about that. It depends on so many things. That depends the nature of the relationship, but obviously it didn't last very long, so there's a good chance that they weren't at the same place in life and that maybe it became a little bit um maybe they felt disconnected or something. I don't know much about that. Who are you talking about? You're saying this is a famous ministry. But I feel like at 72 years old, especially when you're well established, you're well known, a lot of people who are older and well known tend to take on younger partners, and that's kind of the norm, really. I've not really seen anyone famous be with someone their own age, and I don't know. I think that can kind of be toxic sometimes because it's almost like I can get whoever I want. I'm famous, everyone loves me, that kind of deal. And I know a few examples of that in the well-known people I follow or the artists I look at and things like that. They all have younger partners. A few of them are there for the right reasons. They're there. They really are in a loving, um, mutually beneficial relationship, which is great, that for sure. But when you're kind of more there for the social status, for the fact that you can get away with being with anyone because really, people look up to you, and it can kind of create this weird thing where you stop becoming self-aware of kind of your mental health state and kind of the way you interact with that person. I just really want to see people be careful how they interact with their younger partner, and I'm mostly concerned about that side because obviously I'm still in my 30s. If I was dating someone that old, like if I was dating someone in their 60s, let's just go with that age gap because that nurse was 40 dating a 72 years old man. But if I was with someone in their 60s, I would be so cautious because it's just like this person is well established in life, probably. I'm not saying that's always the case, but someone in their 60s has known a few things, they've had a few experiences. um, they have the potential to guide me in a very misleading way or to have that power over me that kind of goes like, I'm older, so I know better, so just do what I say. And that's another thing you have to be careful for. And also, I dislike it when partners kind of go, well, my ambitions are more important than yours because I'm famous. So you're gonna move to my area. You're gonna do this and that, and I'm taking care of the rest. And you don't really have anything to take care of. But that kind of creates an uneven playing field, kind of an uneven power balance because you're really having all the decision making, everything, and the person is becoming so dependent on you. That's not good because what if you just decide to throw them away? That is not good because maybe you put that front on for the public that you're really in a loving, kind relationship and you're providing for this person. You're so good to be doing that. But if you break up, that person basically has nothing to their name. They don't have a way to bounce back from that. And if you're a nurse, obviously you can go work at the hospital and whatnot. But especially at that time, I feel like it's one salary and then you go back to single life. That can be difficult. You don't always have that option. The power balance in your age gap relationships has always been in favor of the younger partner. They're they're I'm not sure what that word is and can have anyone they want. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But I'm kind of talking more about famous people when I say that. Obviously, it is different for the general public because an older person can also be in a situation where a younger person can take advantage of you because of their attractiveness and their kind of, as a young person, you have the pretty privilege, you have the hot. Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, I get what you mean. The person has pretty privilege and they're kind of like, I could discard you for someone better and things like that. So I understand what you mean there. I also think like it depends where you are financially, if you're financially independent, but someone who doesn't necessarily have the means to make a life for themselves and then ends up in an age gap relationship and kind of ends up stuck in a place where they don't have life skills, they don't have a way to bounce back if it breaks up. So that's kind of a thing that worries me. Yeah, the thing that worries me is the person being left on their own and no way to bounce back from it. Obviously if someone has a job, even if of course it's never okay to take advantage of a partner and it is financial abuse, to convince your partner that they have to do things for you, otherwise you're gonna leave them for a younger person or whatever, or that they could get anyone they want, so you have to provide for them. That is financial abuse, and I don't think that's okay by any means. And I don't think it's okay to just emotionally abuse a person in a way that maybe you'll always say things like that, you know. But yeah, my biggest concern is just really leaving someone in a position where they don't have a way to bounce back. They kind of don't, maybe they don't have a good relationship with their family. In a lot of abusive, power imbalanced relationship, the thing is the abusive partner tends to try to isolate you from the people in your life. So maybe they'll convince you to drop some of your friends because they're annoying, they're nasty, they're this and that. They're warning you about potential signs of abuse in your relationship. Maybe the person is trying to isolate you from your family because, oh, I don't like your dad. Your dad is mean to me. Your dad is always kind of there observing me and kind of looking at me, staring at me. I don't like that. So you should stop talking to your dad. He meddles in our affairs too much, you know? Kind of just an example like that. But the abusive partner is always trying to find a reason for you not to be with the people in your life, if that makes sense. So that's another way people use to basically have control over you. So you have to be mindful of that. And I think the sign of a very healthy partner is maybe they will say, well, I don't like this person, but I understand that this is your friend, and maybe you can hang out together. And I will give you the day for that, and I will do things on my own. but I definitely don't want you to stop seeing your friend. The healthy partner will kind of reassure you that they don't want you to stop being with the people you love just because they don't maybe maybe they don't really mesh well with them. Maybe they don't really um I don't know the word for that, but yeah, maybe they don't get along. But yes, isolation, financial abuse, all things to look out for. And then there are a little bit more 18 plus struggles that I will not go into because right now I'm on mobile and setting the life to be 18 plus. This is going to be a whole mess. So I'm not going to go too much into that. I might just like mention briefly. Obviously, a person with more experience in that area has the potential to maybe go, yeah, you should do that because I'm older and I can find another partner that will do this thing for me, if you know what I mean. But of course that can go both ways. But just in general, going into that thing where the other person has to do something for you, otherwise there will be a consequence. That is never good. That is always problematic. That's always abusive. But yes, personally, my own partner was trying to coerce me into doing certain things I didn't want to do. And it was always like, you don't know, you've never tried it. You'll like it, you'll see. You'll see with me it's gonna be good because I'm experienced and blah blah blah, that sort of stuff. That is not good. That is breaking consent. And when if your partner ever says something like that to you when you say no, run away. Like that is not good. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed not to get into something that makes you uncomfortable. But yeah, like I said, I've seen so many age gap relationships in my life, and only a few of them are really good and healthy. I've witnessed so much abuse and so much problems, but I think there is a way to make them work. You really have to ask yourself why you're there, and you really have to keep in mind that yes, there are potential problems. You would under no circumstances do what? I'm not sure I got that last part. But yes, kind of staying aware of the potential issues and just acknowledging them and acknowledging your partner's concerns, not dismissing that. Like if they say, "Hey, I'm scared that maybe this is going on," maybe just hearing them out, and maybe they'll say something like, "Well, you're older and you tend to dismiss my feelings because you say uh, things like, you'll see, at my age, you won't care about that stuff anymore." Yeah, but that's the point. I'm not that age yet, so I care about that stuff. And it's important to me. Just because in the future I'm not gonna care doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. Doesn't mean that you get to invalidate me. But yeah, it's always just a matter of, is your partner willing to hear you out when you share that stuff? And are they willing to work on it, to acknowledge it, to work on it, and to make it better? You've had poly relationships. Yeah, yeah. Honest communication is key. That is for sure. The most important thing is definitely communicating. But yeah. First, of course, letting your partner know your concerns, talking openly about them, talking openly about how to improve the communication. Maybe if you need something, maybe your needs aren't met, but maybe there is a way to have them met. And then also, there's just the counterpoint to that is just listening to your partner when they bring up stuff and when they communicate with. So yeah, I kind of think that's my take on the whole subject. Like I said, I do tend to be more protective of the younger folks just because I am on that side. I've not I've not ever dated someone younger, I don't think. Maybe yeah, I dated one person who was a year or two younger than me. That's not really an age gap. That's more of just within my age range, I feel. But yes, I've never been the younger party. I've always been the older party. I've always been the younger one. Um, and the oldest gap that I had was 5 to 6 years old. Older, I mean, than me, which, like I was talking about earlier, did cause a lot of problems. And basically, all of his friends hated me because he was depicting me as the evil person. And of course, on my side, well, that depends because I was in my late teens. I was 19 years old. I was not at the same place in life that he was, and he was taking advantage of that definitely. I explained why earlier, but it's definitely an age gap when you're younger. A 5 year age gap when you're in your 20s hits different than a 10-year age gap when you're in your 40s or 50s, just because like I said, when you're really young, especially in those very formative years, you start to experience so much. You get your first jobs, you get your first contracts, you get your first ideas if you're a creator or something. Maybe you get brand deals, maybe you get, some of the fancy stuff, but also you start to gain experience about things. You get experience sexually. That's when you experience all your first things. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. But I've not for me it's not been that long. But I just know that in my own experience, it was a bit of a problem. Just because, yeah, that man was 24, 25. I don't remember his exact age, the exact age he was, but he was definitely taking on the role of the big grown up that's much, much better and healthier than me. And he was kind of pushing me into a corner, you know, kind of backing me up into a corner and giving me ultimatums. You have to grow up, otherwise, I'm breaking up with you. Well, yeah, I'm a 19-year-old person. Let me be a 19-year-old. Let me try to start figuring out life on my own. But you cannot blame a person who's 19 for acting their age. That's pretty much my point. But that's what he was doing, so it was no good for me. And yeah, that's why personally I would definitely be wary of that stuff. But I don't think I would date anyone who's 10 years older than me or more than that. Personally, I wouldn't date anyone under 25 just because I think there's so much potential for it to be bad and predatory on my end, and I wouldn't feel comfortable. And even like if we say things like, oh, but that person is so mature for their age. Yeah, well, life has probably put them in a situation where they did have to mature and they didn't have a choice. So personally, it's not something I think I'd be comfortable with. You're only 35, or are you 53? You're inverting numbers, aren't you? But yeah, at my age, it is kind of tricky. So I wouldn't date under 25. Even 25, it's a little bit young for me. I'd go maybe like 28, sort of that age area. How old are you? Let us know. But yes, but I would kind of date within 28 to 40, maybe 40 is a little pushing it. You're not telling me now. Why? Oh, I want to know. Um, can I guess? Can you give me hints? I'll just ask people who know you. I know. I'll ask Amanda. Amanda is gonna know. Amanda's gonna tell me your age. But yes, when I was in my early 20s, late teens, I was definitely not in a place to be dating that guy, and I learned that the hard way, but it was not good. Oh, I've also been in another age gap relationship. I forgot about that one. But my last girlfriend was like 5 years older than me as well, and I was I was 25, something like that, and she was 31. And yeah, it did cause a little bit of issues, but not so much with age because we were kind of the same place. We just had finished college, and she was not going to university. She was working full time as a pizza delivery person. But she was kind of a weird one. Amanda doesn't know your age. Interesting. I'll ask her. Maybe she has an idea or some hints or something. Amanda is a smart cookie. She knows things that we don't expect her to know. But yeah, I was the last person I dated. She was in her early 30s, and I was in my 20s. So yeah, but that wasn't so problematic. Like I said, we had other problems though. We had problems in other areas that don't really have anything to do with that. So I'm gonna talk about this in a later different live session or video or whatever. But I just kind of thought it was important for me to talk about that subject because it's important to me as a person, and also it kind of speaks to me from the point of view of something that has been a bad experience for me, a traumatic experience, and that really shaped the person I am now and the kind of people I date now, which, by the way, I don't date at all. Like, I'm all by myself and I'm happy like that. But your ex-wife was younger than you. You met her when she was 24. She slept with an older guy. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, of course there are people of all ages who are not good partners. But yeah, there's always a way to have a partner who will not respect you. That is for sure. Two other younger guys. She's someone else's problem. Well, you know what? I'm nobody's problem because I'm single. That's why I'm single. I don't want to be anyone's problem. I'm my own problem. I'm dating myself. And I used to actually go on dates with myself. I would take myself to the movies and the restaurant and eat by myself. But yeah, I don't have the money to do that now, but I used to do that. Which it was a really interesting experience because I got to know myself better. When you're out there at the restaurant by yourself, at your own table, not talking to anyone, you really get the time to observe reality, to observe people, and to kind of look at human interactions from an outside perspective. So that was interesting, and also I just got to appreciate what I have. I learned to appreciate what I could have in that moment, which was maybe I'm watching a movie, so I have the time to analyze that and to look at the filming angles, plans, and whatever, and all the things. Really think about the dialogue, think about the things presented in there. When you go to the movies with a friend, you can't really do that unless they're into that type of stuff, because they'll could just go like, ha, did you see that guy over there, so silly? And they'll kind of just go, yeah, that was good, and you don't really have that kind of you don't really have the time or the opportunity to really go deep into that stuff, and that's type of stuff I enjoy going deep into a topic, as you might have gathered from my YouTube channel. So you've been single for 7 years. Yeah, me too. I've been single for almost 7 years now. I don't exactly know, like 6 or 7 years. You have CPTSD as well. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I have that as well. I don't leave the house either. But yeah, it's good sometimes to be by yourself for sure. It helps. After you experience, you're done with relationships and you have an elderly mother that needs your assistance. Well, I'm glad she has you. And yeah, I'm glad to hear about your experiences. Um, and that really helps me kind of see other points of view. Because, like I said, most of the people I talked to on my Facebook post about this were kind of being a little bit dismissive about the whole sometimes there are issues kind of deal, you know? And I think like some people sometimes just like to close their eyes to that stuff and kind of deny that, hey, thank you, Night, but I'm in my bathtub. I don't need to drink water. I'm hydrated right now. I'm too hydrated. My fingers are kind of um big raisins right now. But thank you for the reminder, Nightbot. That's appreciated. But yeah, even at my age, I don't know that I will be in a relationship anytime soon because I've never been really happy in one. And I think I just realized that and I learned to deal with that. I found myself. I really found myself. Yeah, I found myself and I found myself in a place where I think I'm okay with not being with another person in that way. It does get lonely sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I do want the good vibes and the happiness of being in a relationship and I want the good times. I want the sharing. But also I don't think that I'm in a place in my life where I can afford even like uh uh, mentally to give so much effort into something so uncertain as a relationship. Your autism is too much to deal with. Well, I feel you on that. My autism is too much as well. We're having the same issue with that, I think. I think no one wants to deal with my constant meltdowns and sensory overload and CPTSD and me getting traumatized at the smallest things. I think I could have just good where I am, really. And at the same time, sometimes it feels so lonely, like I said. But I have friends, I have my people on YouTube, I have the skinny puppy people and I think I'm happy for now with that. And if I ever meet someone and it's like love at first sight of or whatever, I don't know. But we'll see about that. But I don't think that's a reality for me. And I'm kind of learning to accept that fact, really. But you know, but yeah, a Nightbot is just reminding you right now. I have quite a bit of bills and I'm missing a lot of money for rent. So if you are in a position to help out, there's no pressure about that. But if you're in a position to help out, click the link below. It will take you to my Ko-fi page, which has a fundraiser. Everything on there is getting used for bills and necessities. So things like cleaning products, food, things like that. Everything from that account goes towards that specifically. So, and I want to take a second to thank everyone who's already helped me out with that. You're just amazing. Thank you so much for your purchases, your donations. You people are awesome. I'm sorry you're having issues like that as well. Yeah, I wish I could. Yeah, I get that. I wish people would be more accepting, but it's really like fighting windmills, really, because people don't listen. People don't want to learn. But I kind of do what I do. Kind of bring awareness and whatnot. Kind of just to create a community. And maybe I bring more understanding to like 5 people, and that's okay with me. Because at the end, I will have changed that part of the world, like that part of my world, so I will have made a difference if I educate a few, very few people. So I kind of keep hope that maybe I'm creating a more loving and accepting community for myself. So that's kind of the place I am coming from. The person you really clicked with was a drug addict and an alcoholic. I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh, that's tough, especially they kept falling off the wagon. Yeah, that is really tough. I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, human relationships are hard sometimes. I don't really have a big connection to my family. I'm not close to my father anymore. We see each other once or twice a year. I don't see anyone in my family really. But right now, I don't really see anyone in person just because all my friends live kind of far away from me. You're glad I'm still young. I have plenty of time to find someone and work things out. Maybe, I don't know. But did you know that the autistic lifespan is like around uh it's like 50 58 years old, 59 years old? Yeah, our life expectancy is like about that age. And I know that a lot of autistic people get much older than that, so it's by no means a guideline to go with. Like, it's not telling you that I'll die at that age. But we have a much shorter lifespan just because so many things affect our health so severely, and those of us who have higher support needs might not really get that those needs met. So yeah, yeah, start writing your will. I think I'm at that age where I start to really worry just because my disabilities don't really let me be anywhere consistent in life. Like, my job is really uncertain. I have a small business, but I cannot find a regular job because I struggle so much with social things and things like that. So I do what I do. I crochet. I do YouTube. I do other things, but yeah, I'm kind of at that place where I'm really scared because I'm not going anywhere, and I should start saving up for the old days, but I don't know that I'll get there, at the point where I can afford to save up. And it's a reality that a lot of young people face now because the cost of life is just insane. Where I live, it is anyway. In Canada and in the US, the cost of life is like way over the roof. Um, the inflation is very, very big, very intense, and a lot of people find themselves in a situation where they're kind of living paycheck to paycheck, having food insecurities and things like that. So it's a tough. spot to be on. It's really stressful, and that creates just a bunch more issues with life. So yeah, I will find myself a sugar daddy, and I will survive that way. And no, I'm just joking, by the way. I'm not gonna do that, but it's a survival thing that a lot of people are taking on because they're not having the possibility to improve their lives. And I feel like sometimes that's a double-edged sword because it puts them in a situation they don't really want, but they kind of force themselves through it. But I'm glad that I have my loving community helping me with things. But yeah, it's a tough spot for a lot of people. You thought you were in luck when I talked about sugar daddy. Well, that depends. I'm not moving away from Canada, so there is no way I'm moving away. I like it here. I like my country. I like my city, even if sometimes it's complete um BS basically. But thank you for the laugh though. That's hilarious. Oh, but that's sweet. But yeah, Montreal is a cool place to live, especially because it gets really cool around the fall time. But then in winter it's just cold. It's not cool at all. I like to make that joke. Oh yeah, another joke. Because my name is Winter. The first time I came out and I announced my new name to people, that guy went, Winter, that's a cool name, wink wink. Kind of like just because winter is cool as the temperature is cool. That was funny. You wanted to apply for the RCMP. Oh, that's interesting. You couldn't get a work visa. Well, that's a shame. That could have been awesome. That's interesting. I heard that can be a very cool experience. But it's a shame that you couldn't get a work visa. We could have used you, you know. But yeah, I have thought about moving to another country. I've wanted to live in uh I've wanted to live in London, believe it or not. I know the cost of life is so sky high in London, right? Everything's expensive there. I've been there once though. It was cool. It was nice. But I was buying the cheapest food ever from the food store, like the very cheap packaged processed items, and that's how I was eating during my travel. Watching too much too south. Yeah, but it would be like a fun experience. I feel like yeah, yeah, that too, that for sure it is. But also the kind of underground culture, like the goths and the punks and whatnot, is still very active there. So there's kind of that bunch of conservative people that are very, very bad to be around. But the underground culture, which I know a thing or two about because I'm involved in it, obviously. But yeah, some parts of it are difficult to be in, but yeah, yeah. There are a lot of places in the world where racism and stuff like that is very normalized, and then you also have, in counterpart to that, you have amazing uh people from different communities that come together and fight that stuff. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, kind of a it's a weird thing. Like in Montreal, a lot of people are open-minded, tolerant. Obviously, we do have our conservative population. It's not so much a problem in Montreal, but in other provinces like Alberta, in Alberta, there is a very huge conservative community of older people, things like that, people that are really against all the things I stand for, right? But they're all for that. And yeah, I've been there once in my life and I vowed to never return. I just felt instantly uncomfortable as soon as the plane landed. I could feel it in the atmosphere, just how nasty it was, which is bad when you just can feel how um judgmental the people are just by landing there. I could feel it. We were still in the sky approaching, and it was just like, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like those two words for sure. That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm the kind of person who I wouldn't say those words, but I would think them so hard that the person would hear them through me. Like they would feel it deep in their soul. I'm that kind of person. And I think I'm gonna have to go soon because my phone is at 34, 37%, and it's going down by the minute. So I want to thank everyone for being here, for chatting, for being really sweet, really nice. And I do still wanna give out my links and whatnot. I cannot type them in the chat just because um I'm on my phone on StreamYard right now and I cannot, for some reason I don't have the chat box thingy. But I just want to say, if you check out my Etsy shop, you will be able to see all my crocheted items. And if you want to purchase from me, I have a lot of zombie kitties. I have also zombie bunnies. I have zombie dogs. I have sort of crazy things. I have horror characters. I have a lot of my own patterns as well. I've made things like washcloths that are really fancy and have all these witchy patterns on them. So I have a few of those available in my shop. I have stitch markers. I think they're currently half off. um, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I have stitch markers, which for a pair they're like $2 something. I don't remember the exact amount. I'll have to check if the discount is still active. But yeah, and also all my friendship bracelets, they're all discounted right now because I'm trying to get rid of them. I don't have space for them. I don't make them anymore. I just want them out of my apartment, out of my life, so I'm discounting all of them until basically until I'm rid of that. Uh, but I have pretty ones, I have cool ones, I have a bunch of different patterns. So anyone interested, go check that. And as I said before already, I also have my Ko-fi link, which is a fundraiser because right now I'm struggling a lot with bills. Right now it's the end of the month and I'm missing like around $100 for rent. And I'm outside of that I have to buy food and whatnot. So I'm missing quite a bit on that front. And basically, yeah, 100 is what I need for rent. The rest is all gonna go on food and necessities. But yeah, I want to thank everyone who's already helped out with that. And if you're not in a position to help out, no worries. I completely understand. You're always welcome to hang out here, and I appreciate it. Oh, the zombie dog is cute, isn't it? Yeah, I love the zombie dog. It's such a cutie and it's always a fun one to make. It's one that takes a really long time, but it has a lot of fun parts and it's kind of a little challenge to put it together because there are a bunch of bones and but it allows to also kind of be creative and whatnot. I've been painting them I've been making cute patterns on them. I had one that had a pumpkin on its belly, and that one was purchased by my friend Brian. He bought the pumpkin zombie dog, and he just received it today actually, and he was happy about that. So I'm happy to have made him happy. So, but yeah, thank you so much everyone for chatting, for hearing me out about this important topic. And yeah, I hope you all have a very good evening, that you're able to have a good meal, a good drink, a good whatever you need, some rest if you need that, some time to yourself, some fun hobbies. But yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone. You get paid from YouTube in the morning. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much. I really appreciate that. And yeah, thanks everyone. You're all very awesome. Bye. I'll see you later. I might go live tomorrow again. It depends if my roommate goes out tomorrow, but if he does, I will be live again. I don't know what time. That depends because he leaves in the morning, he comes back. But yeah, thanks everyone. Goodbye. Good evening or morning or whatever time it is where you are.